Today, we're diving into something that is a genuine revolution in the world of clinical data, a super powerful, totally transparent validation tool called the CDISC Open Rules Engine, or CORE for short, and how it's completely changing the game inside the SDTM-ETL software.
If you work in this field, you've definitely felt this. It's that frustrating feeling that your validation software is just a black box, right? You feed your data in, this long, confusing list of errors comes out, and you have absolutely no idea how the system decided what was right or wrong. And that frustration, that's exactly what we're here to talk about. I mean, the old way was a total black box. It was inflexible, it was full of errors. But now we're going to explore a whole new way of doing things that's transparent, that's selective, and, it's actually built for real people to use. Okay, let's dive right in and really break down the specific problems that have been causing this massive validation headache for so many years.
So, for the longest time, the industry was pretty much dominated by software from just one vendor. And as our source material points out, it was just notoriously difficult to use. It spit out tons and tons of false positives, flagging issues that weren't even real problems. And that meant teams were wasting countless hours just chasing ghosts in the data. But the biggest problem? It was a total black box. You couldn't see the rules, you couldn't understand the logic, and forget about adding your own. No way.
But all of that is changing. So let's meet the hero of our story, a new engine built from the ground up on openness and expertise. And here it is, CDISC Core. Now, it's an open source validation engine, which is already cool, but the really crucial part is who built it. We're talking about CDISC's own experts and over 100 volunteers, the very people who actually create the data standards in the first place, so they know exactly how these rules are supposed to work. This new approach, well, it tackles every single one of the problems we just talked about. The rules are totally transparent, it's open source, you can run validation on just one rule if you want or just one data set. It's specifically designed to get rid of those time-wasting false positives. And maybe best of all, you can finally add your own company's rules.
So that all sounds great in theory, right?
But what does it actually look like in practice? Let's jump over to the SDTM-ETL software and see just how beautifully this whole engine has been integrated. Getting started is, well, it's this easy. When you're ready to run your data transformation, you just click one single checkbox, Perform CDISC Core Validation. That's literally it. No complex setup, no hoops to jump through. The second you do that, you get this really powerful dashboard. You can see all the validation rules up top and all your data sets down at the bottom. By default, everything's selected, but you have total control. You can uncheck any rule or any data set you want to skip. Then you just click Execute, and, well, depending on your file size, we're talking a matter of seconds. It's done. You get a simple little pop-up telling you the report is ready. It's unbelievably fast. And here's what you get at the end, a clean, simple Excel file. No more digging through thousands of lines of confusing logs. The Issue Summary tab gives you this great high-level view of any problems, which data set they're in, and exactly how many times they happened. So simple. Now, that simple workflow is already a massive improvement. But the real power, the truly revolutionary part, comes from the advanced level of control that Core gives you over the entire process. This is where you go from just running validation to actually managing it. Instead of scrolling through this endless list of rules, you can filter through hundreds of them to find exactly what you're looking for with surgical precision. So, for instance, let's say you're getting a submission ready and you only want to run the rules that are required by the FDA. Simple. You just filter by authorities, you pick FDA, and bam, the list instantly narrows down to just those specific rules. Or what about this scenario? You're trying to troubleshoot a specific variable, something like -SCAT. You can just search the rule descriptions for that term, and again, you get a super targeted list of every single rule that has anything to do with that variable. This is a huge time saver. And here's where it becomes a true game changer. You can write your own company-specific rules, and it's not some scary, complex code. It's done in this really simple, human-readable format called YAML. Seriously, you don't have to be a hardcore programmer to see what's going on here. In fact, let's just translate that code into plain English. All it's really doing is creating a brand new quality check that says, hey, throw an error if a subject's age is greater than 65. It's really that straightforward to start enforcing your own internal standards. And believe it or not, it gets even smarter. The system doesn't just understand individual data points. It understands how data sets relate to each other. It's a concept called dataset specialization. So think about it this way. The system knows that a certain lab test result has to come from a specific kind of specimen. Based on these kinds of defined relationships, Core can automatically generate super specific, intelligent validation rules for you. So how many rules are we talking about here? How many can this auto generation create? Get this, almost 1,300 new custom rules just from the existing SysDisk specializations. That is an incredible amount of built-in intelligence that you get right out of the box. So let's zoom out. What does all of this really mean? How does shifting from a black box to a completely transparent engine actually change the future of data quality? Well, for you, it means you get complete transparency into all the logic. It means radically fewer false positives, so your team can focus its energy where it really matters. You can finally enforce your own quality standards programmatically, and all of this leads to way more accurate and efficient submissions. And hey, don't just take my word for it. The author of our source material puts it perfectly. They say CDISC Core is a revolution in the area of validation. This isn't just another small update. It's a fundamental shift in how we make sure our data is high quality. And that really leaves us with one final thought. For years, validation has been this opaque, frustrating wall we all kept running into. Now that it's been blown wide open and made transparent and collaborative, it really makes you wonder, what's the next big black box in our industry that's just waiting to be cracked open?